mountains there than Missouri even. And we would take family vacations down to the Ozarks, and that's where I got to go and explore and kind of discover the outdoors, and it kind of planted a seed of passion in me for the outdoors. And that grew as I grew, and we moved to Colorado, which is where I'm from. I live in Vail, Colorado, and I've been there ever since I was a kid. But being in the outdoors and being in the mountains has always been something that's been very special to me, and it's something that I think that a passion and desire that God has given me. And so I've gone to high places all around the world, and this journey started, in fact, when I was your age, and in my youth group, I had these mentors that were my youth group leaders that took me out on backpacking trips into the Colorado Rockies. Those backpacking trips turned into climbing trips. We'd go rappelling and rock climbing, and they just kind of fostered that passion within me. And well, I took that as a great start, and then began to go off to higher places. And I've climbed on 6 of the 7 continents. I've been on the highest point of Africa. I've been down climbing in South America, Aconcagua in Argentina. And I have a slide here, if you wouldn't mind putting that image back up, of some of these places. And in going to these places, well, I got to go to Peru, and I got to trek the Inca Trail. I got to trek that trail with 9 blind high school students. From that group, I got to take 4 of them, 4 blind students, to Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. And I got to see these 4 students stand on the roof of Africa. Even though they were blind, it was still a meaningful journey. They couldn't see the view, but it really wasn't about that. It was about overcoming obstacles. It was about the friendship, the camaraderie, the trust that we built together as a team in climbing that peak. I've been to Europe, where I've climbed the highest point on the European continent, Mount Elbrus, 18,500 feet. I did this with my good friend who's blind. When we got to the top, we'd made the first blind ascent of that mountain. What made our ascent special was the way we descended. We made the first blind ski descent of that same mountain. You think, how does that work? How does a blind guy ski? Well, it's easy. When he clicks into his skis and he's not looking, which is pretty much all the time, I give him a push and I say, good luck. And then I fall in behind him and I start yelling at him, turn left. And his turn takes on the shape of the inflection of my voice. And then it's turn right. And so you can tell that's a big swooping turn. The terrain must be kind of wide open and gentle. And as the terrain narrows and gets steeper, it becomes more of a dance. Turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right. And we're moving and grooving down the mountain. And well, there's 2 things that you really need when you ski with someone who's blind. One is trust. The other is forgiveness. Well, yeah, because, we've made some mistakes along the way, and that's just part of training. And I've run them into shrubs, I've run them off the trail, I've run them into trees, I've run them into friends, I've run them into strangers. But the amazing thing about my friend, well, one, he still trusts me, but it's his amazing ability to forgive and to look past those mistakes. He knows I didn't intentionally run him into any of these things. But if he was to get all bent out of shape about that, we would never reach our higher goal. So he's able to look beyond that and say, let's work it out. Help me to get to that place. So we're back on Mount Elbrus and we're skiing. It's turn left, turn right, turn left. I'm soft-spoken, so he appreciates it if I speak up. Especially if there's something important that he needs to hear. For example, Cliff! Stop! I think his preference is actually, stop! Cliff. Yeah. He says, I don't really need to know what it is, I just need to know what to do. So we figured that one out. And we made that descent safely, and it was a great experience. Most recently, I was climbing on Denali with 2 blind Special Forces officers. One of them blinded by a suicide car bomber in Iraq. The other one was blinded by a hand grenade that went off near his head. Well, these 2 guys, after the recovery, decided they didn't want to give up on living life to the fullest. And they found out about me and some of the climbs that I had done, and they said, would you take us to Alaska to climb the highest point in North America? It was a tremendous experience. But I think really the higher the obstacle, the greater the opportunity. Or the bigger the obstacle. Maybe some of you aren't climbers, but you're facing mountains of a different sort. And you have to look at it like that, as an opportunity. Because I think, honestly, that's how the Lord wants us to look at these things. He wants us to look at these obstacles in our lives as opportunities. And, well, what greater opportunity or obstacle is there than the highest mountain on our planet, Mount Everest? Well, I would go to Mount Everest with my good friend Eric Weinleyer, who's completely blind. And we would go there, we'd go to the Himalayas, actually 1 year before, to train for Mount Everest. And so in going to Everest, or to the Himalayas, we would climb this mountain called Ahmedabad. It's a neighbor of Everest, but it's not as high, but technically it's more demanding. And so we work our way up. We're trekking down the trail, we get to 15,000 feet, we're acclimating, and then once we're acclimated, you know, we can move a little higher, and we go through this process. And we get up high onto that peak, and it gets technical. It's a vertical rock face with about 2,000 or 3,000 feet of air behind us. So put yourself in this place, you're 20,000 feet, you can barely breathe, you're on a vertical rock face, you've got on big boots and a heavy pack, and now you're completely blind. That's my Himalayan wind noise. And now you get to that face, you get to a point and it's as blank as a chalkboard. And my friend is scanning that wall and he's like, a little help? I yell out to him, Eric, there's a hold there. It's 8 inches up and 6 inches over. Oh, and it's on your left. Yeah, you might need that little bit of information. Got it. And like that, we climb up onto that ridge. And thankfully, you know, we celebrate teamwork. The team has gone ahead and they've carried the heavy loads. They've even set up the tents. And they've got those waiting for us there. We arrive, and could you put that image back up on the screen? I want to make sure that